We had 2 talks. I think we had someone back out, or I don't remember what the logistics were. So I built this in a couple days. It's a tool I've been using for a while. If you haven't heard of Kasm, I will, hopefully you understand what it is and want to test it out on your own, but we'll get right into it. So real quick, who am I? I updated my who am I give tons of talks. I'm going to run through this really fast. 1, my perfect angel of a dog. 2, I like to barbecue. If you like to barbecue, come hang out, come talk. 3, we recently lost our cat, got a new one. This one is the weirdest cat you could ever imagine. 4, I really like cars, blue cars. 5, I really like tacos. 6, I really like blue cars. 7, me and my wife, we went to France last year for the first time. It was beautiful. 8, again, really, really weird cat. 9, I really like driving blue cars off-road. 10, love playing guitar. I will never play in front of people unless you are like the closest people to me. I skipped 11. I can't count, so judge my credibility on this talk based on that. 12, that is my favorite building. I'm not super into architecture, but that is the iron. I can't even remember the name of the building. It's the Flatiron in New York City. I've been to New York like 3 times now. It's the coolest city on earth. Beyond that, if you were wondering, yes, hold on, it's slow. It's slow, so I lift my tire off the ground when I race. You're right. If you were wondering that, yes, I do. Okay, agenda. What is Kasm? Quick tour, my use case for Kasm, setup tips, cool features, more apps or features in Kasm again, because it's a very loaded tool. And then final questions. So what is Kasm? I love this meme. This is probably one of my favorite meme formats, but this pretty well describes Kasm. Mom, can we have Amazon Workspace? No, there's Amazon Workspace at home. The Amazon Workspace at home. It's Kasm. Secure remote access. It does app streaming, web isolation, on-demand cloud desktop, and enterprise browsers. If none of this means anything to you, maybe it will by the end. If it doesn't, maybe this tool is not for you. All right. Once again, I love doing like home lab talks. I think home lab talks are like way overblown, but I think they're always interesting because everyone should be trying out new tools. So no amount of me talking about this tool will really kind of portray to you what it could be. So always go out and play with your free and open source tools. Free and open source is the future. So I'm just going to get right into it. This is just showing it off initially. This is the login page. This is my Kasm setup. It has 2-factor, so if you put it on the internet, I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but a lot of free and open source tools don't support 2-factor very well. And then the initial dashboard. Just starting off, I mean, I don't know. I didn't lay this out. Like I said, I threw this together really fast. The idea of Kasm is you can stream apps or browsers to your browser. So anywhere in the world, you can sign in, you can access Discord securely through a VPN back to your home, or like maybe you want to sandbox some malware. I'll get into all that through this. But yeah, let's go forward. It's a little slow. Access management settings. If people have questions as I go, because like I said, threw this together, if you're still confused, just yell out questions, and I would rather answer them through. But access management settings, it supports all these cool little modern authentication methods. It supports user and group specific settings, egress rules, all this. I really didn't think about how I laid this together, guys. Infrastructure settings. These are some of the cooler features of Kasm. Maybe I should just talk, I will talk about in the future. The reason some of this is important to me is like you can modify egress providers. You guys are missing so much context. I didn't lay this out very well. I use Kasm as a in the moment detonation browser. So I can, if I want to go visit something potentially malicious, I can do it safely through Kasm through a Brave instance on the other side of the planet, right? I can use Molvad to access that site in a one-time instance from France. It doesn't matter where. Settings. These are just general settings. Again, you can set persistence, you can set web filtering. Maybe, hopefully, things are starting to click. Enterprise browsers are really expensive for companies, so if you can do enterprise browsing in-house, this is kind of a hack job way to do it, but you could effectively force your users through a controlled browser. You can control the traffic, you can control, like, it doesn't matter what they click because it's detonated once and it's gone. It's not on their machine. These are all things that Kasm, a free and open source tool, can do. Also has diagnostics. It works directly. I think it has apps with Splunk. Like, you can send logs off to whatever SIM you like. So it's ready to go enterprise. It's ready to go in the home lab. Super fun tool. My Kasm use cases. So maybe I'll start filling in the gaps here. I should have put this first maybe. I use Kasm, like I described earlier, first and foremost, remote browsing through a VPN. So I can log into whatever machine I want. I can log, yes, question. Is this an application or more like a This is hosted, yes, he asked, is this an application or is this more of like a, I guess, OS server. So the way I use Kasm is on my home lab running as a container, I think. I just spun it up years ago and I haven't touched it much. But there's multiple ways to set up Kasm. You set it up on a server, you set it up in the cloud, wherever you want. You access it through the browser. It's effectively app streaming. Picture the app, picture the Docker container that you like over the internet, over HTTPS. So in this case, it would be Brave or a browser over the internet, which kind of doesn't make sense, but I guess think of something more like Discord. Maybe you can't access Discord from somewhere. You can access Discord through Kasm over HTTPS, through just a browser. That's what Kasm is unlocking. That's what Kasm does. And it doesn't stop at Discord. Go to your favorite Linux distribution. Go to your favorite email client, whatever it is. You can stream it. If you can containerize it, you can stream it back to your web browser. Remote access into my home lab. So in this case, it's the same Brave instance. It just doesn't have Molvad turned on. I can access my home lab from anywhere in the world, from my phone, from work, from the airport, from Starbucks. It doesn't matter. I also threw a snapshot of the control panel on the left. It feels very homey to someone who works out of Workspaces maybe. You have your clipboard, you have your printer redirection, you have your uploads and downloads. You can modify your displays. It supports all types of display outputs. You can share the instances, which is a feature I'll talk about later and I think is really cool. And then PWAs, I don't know if it's like, if everyone has been aware of PWAs forever. I found out about them like 2 years ago. PWAs are so cool. Why am I forgetting what it stands for? Does anyone know? Progressive Web App, thank you. You can install this as a web app, as like, it's just running from your client anywhere, and it just loads up and it acts like an application. It's amazing. So, another use case, remote access to my home lab. I use this instance specifically for SSH. Sometimes you need to access SSH from the internet. In this instance, it's over HTTPS, behind MFA, behind a good login. Super useful. You don't have to put SSH on the internet. Persistent OS of your choice, in this case, Kali. I don't do a lot of OS emulation or containerization, but if you wanted to, you could set up all of your favorite tools in Kali, all of your favorite settings, everything set up perfectly, and have it spin up and be persistent in that way. Every time you want to use it, you can have it VPN out to some remote area in case you're gonna do some weird stuff. I'm not condoning it, but you can have it spin up on the fly, you can have it kill out on the fly. It's ready to go. You don't have to have hardware for it. You can also have, all the hardware you want at home ready to go on the fly for say a CTF here. App streaming, private and secure. Discord does work, does, locations you go to, does a different country block a tool you use, something like Discord. You can access it, again, securely over HTTPS, back to your home lab. In this case, I have Discord, then go out to Molvad, so it's not connecting from home. This isn't optimal if you want to use voice. It doesn't work, I've tried. But I also have a really weird, deep layered container version of Kasm going, but again, more ideas. App streaming, Steam games, this is a stupid feature that I don't use, but I thought it was funny. The latency is really poor, but you can play turn-based games. In this situation, I was proving you could play Into the Breach. It just worked. It just installs locally. You can play it from your phone. It's kind of a cool idea. Setup tips. If you're going to set up Kasm, there was a few things that hung up for me that caused some issues. The proxy, these are going to fly over your head. They're all in documentation. There's tons of good documentation for Kasm. But if you want to stream it over the internet and access it either through a reverse proxy or Cloudflare tunnels, you cannot forget to set your proxy port inside your proxy connections to 0. It won't work. And then the other one was persistent profile pass. If you're not using persistent profile pass, which in some instances you might want to, if you're using a Brave browser or something to detonate malware, or just any OS to detonate malware, you might not use this because you want to kill it off every time. But if you want an OS or a browser that stays persistent every time you log into it, like a normal browser or application would, you set your path. And it's just effectively saving all of your data, so you don't have to re-sign into everything every time. Setup tips. I put this as a note because I haven't solved for this, but I know it's a common issue. If you use something like Kali or a Linux distribution, it's always going to sign you in as Kasm user. You're not going to have sudo privs, which is super frustrating because you want to use the OS like an OS. You have to go through some setup process. There's tons of documentation out there for it. It's easy to set up. I just wanted to note it because, again, I don't use the OS side of it very often. I just had the picture of the Kali as like an example. Cool features. I'm just going to run through screenshots. If you guys have questions, want me to stop, want me to go back, or whatever, just let me know. Just scream. So the first one, like I said earlier, it supports multi-monitors. You can set up a Linux OS on your desktop with 3 monitors and pretend like it's in your... Maybe you have a lot of excuses as to why you're not going to convert from Windows to Linux, even after Reed's talk, right? You can pretend you're running Linux through Kasm for all the things you might want Linux for. You can dump it through a VPN. You can be as private as you want. And at the end of the day, you can still play your games. Egress providers. This is my second favorite feature of Kasm. I just started using it recently. Using VPNs for any of your tools. Yes, question. Key bindings all the time. I know there's repeat question. How often, thank you. How often do I run into key bindings messing up? Key bindings will take on the main OS first. They will do something on Kasm, but it always acts weird. So there's a little control button on the side. I think I showed it in a previous tab, all those controls. There's key binding buttons in there, and I know there's ways to fix the hot mapping for it. I haven't ran into enough issues that I've solved for that problem, but I know people have. I know that there's ways to run this effectively as your base OS until you're ready to get out of it. I think old versions of VMware did that, where you had to press a hotkey to unlock yourself. This has that functionality. So egress provider, if you want to pretend you're coming out of another country, it just works. Turns it on. You set up WireGuard. You can pretend you're coming out of wherever you want. Super good for privacy, especially when you're using the browsers. Session staging. This is my single favorite feature of Kasm, and I haven't really got to use it much yet, but you can effectively set up, this isn't it. I'm confusing myself with features. Session staging is you can have like a heavy OS like Kali preloaded and ready to go. So like maybe you've logged into something like Try Hack Me and you sit there and wait on the box. It's because it's loading. They don't have it staged for you, right? But if you have a premium subscription, it's faster. They're probably staging it. This is the same idea. It's just preloading everything into cache or into RAM. So when you go to spin up your OS, you're not waiting a minute, you're waiting a few seconds. This is the PWA stuff. I thought this was, again, I think PWA is cool. I don't know. I don't think it's that impressive of a technology, but you can install this on your Windows machine, double click it, it opens up, like you could have Kali as your install. Double click it, it opens up on all 3 of your monitors, just like you're using Kali. When you're done with it, you put it away. You can do that with whatever apps you want. I just thought it was a neat thing to add. Apparently I missed my slides up, but you can do it on your phone as well, like I said earlier. And I use that on my phone all the time to just detonate weird stuff. Session casting. This is where I was confused earlier. This is my favorite feature of Kasm. You can create sessions in Kasm. You can tie them to users, or you can tie them to anonymous users. You can put the URL out to the internet. You can share it to whoever you want. Anyone can use that URL to come in and use whatever workspace you set up to use it. So if you want one of your friends to be able to use a Brave Mulvad connected browser on the fly without a login, they could follow this URL and it would just work. They can also install it with a PWA. I think that's just a really cool feature, setting up sessions. You can monitor those, you can log those. Yeah, big fan of that feature. I had them out of order. This is my phone, installing Brave as a workspace on my phone, so I can load up, I can access my home lab through a single app click rather than logging back in every time. I should have labeled all these. Now we're on all the apps. So these are the default Kasm apps. And I should pre-note this with, you can build whatever containers you want and load them in. I haven't gone that far because it's fit my needs. But if you want to run, your favorite Steam game and you have this set right on hardware and it's fast enough, you could effectively just create an app for it. It would load it up and it would run. I'll just fly through these. These are just some of the interesting ones. So a lot of local apps. I've used VLC before. I've used Audacity. I've used Blender. I've used GIMP. If you don't want to install these over and over again, maybe you hop distros like I do a lot. This is a super easy way to just have them on the fly. Custom containers, like I said earlier, sky's the limit. Signal, Slack, Telegram, Thunderbird, Zoom, Discord. I can't overstate it. If you can create a container for it, you can containerize it in here and you can have it on the fly. And that was it. Questions? Yeah. Does authentication support any SSO or third party? I think it does. I haven't, it's way back here, sorry. I had the setting in here somewhere. Yeah. It supports these. If you can get it to work, it'll work. If not, it won't. They sell enterprise copies or licenses, so I'm assuming they'll bend if you ask. I guess, and before questions, I forgot to mention, this was all a live demo on a Kasm instance. This is a Windows machine, so any more questions? Yeah. Default domain for Kasm links? Is that what you asked? I don't know. I had to set up a domain for mine and have it come through. So it has a base domain for the domain that I own, and then I can modify that as I please. So a staging domain, I could have it stage as my domain, kasm.mydomain / whatever I want to name it, and it would be a staged thing I could send out. Yeah. So shared domain space by default. No, so this lives in my basement. This doesn't live, I'm sure you can pay Kasm as a cloud service to do this. You can also put it in AWS, it doesn't matter. No, this namespace is it's completely isolated back to my home network, yeah. Yes?
What limitations did you run into with the free version which you can overcome with the paid?
What walls have I ran into that the paid version would solve? Yeah. I haven't ran into any issues that the paid version would solve for me, but I do know that there are some paid walled things like company branding, and I had them list categorization. So if you want to use this as an enterprise browser, I think they found very specifically that enterprise browsing was a hot market maybe. You cannot categorize and filter based on categorization without licensing. So you can domain filter, you can manually do, allow and block listing for your apps. If you're trying to use it like an enterprise browser, you cannot automatically categorize and do some advanced features though. So those would be the big ones. Yeah.
Have you ever used it for
Have I used this for honeypotting? You might like, I guess. Do you have an idea in mind? I've thought about using so he asked, have I used this for honeypotting? I've thought about using the staging and just putting it on the internet and forcing it through a Molvad and then logging that data back to a Splunk I have and just seeing what happens. I don't really know what would happen. I think I would see some very maybe disgusting internet things come through it, but no, yeah, it's definitely crossed my mind, but I haven't tested it yet. That's why I like the staging feature the most. Or no, again, I keep calling it the staging, the session feature where I can stand it up for anyone, because I think you could come up with some fun ideas for it. Yeah. Yes. If someone lived in North Korea and I gave them this URL, I would blow their mind with Western pop culture, yes. Yeah. I don't know if they'd be able to access it, but yeah. Anything else? Cool. Thank you for listening to my hack together presentation on Kasm.